On.
Good morning. Welcome to the Breakfast Club. This is Joe Shoup with Mark Stevens. Morning, Mark. Morning, Victor.
Morning, Joe. How you doing?
Doing great today, thank you. How you doing, Victor? I know you're muted right now, so we'll just assume that you're doing, as you said a minute ago, you're doing great. I'm glad the temperature's down or up, whatever you want to call it. So, good morning. Welcome. Let's go right into a topic here, and we've been talking for weeks. We'll continue to talk about activity and performance and getting things in order, getting your business off the ground. I mean, that's the kind of business we're in now, the business of getting our business off the ground. That's where we are today. And that's where people need to be to understand what they need to do. And I think we have a number of people who are finally realizing how to get this business off the ground. And so it takes a commitment to do something. It takes a plan, it takes a schedule, making sure that people are, making sure that you are following a pattern, following a plan so that people can follow you. That's what it's about. That's what recruiting, the idea of recruiting never stops is. Be part of the system whereby that recruiting never stops. And you have to develop a pattern to do that. So you noticed in the email, it's talking about performance. It's talking about performance. So what is performance? What does it really mean? So I do studying during the day, Mark. I look at various subjects and systems that I belong to. One of them, called Manta, is always has a tip. And so I want to cover something today. And I thought it was interesting, that little formula, performance equals potential minus the interference. And I'll show you where that came from. I can't take credit for any of this, what I'm about to show you, except for the fact that I saw it. And then I broke it down. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And Mark, I know you always want to make some comments about performance and activity. So while I get that, we'll just go over to you for a little bit.
Okay, now I've opened my mic back up. Yeah, it's really, it's really simple. The results of what we do is going to be based on our performance. Now, like we say, you have to work, you have to do what you have to do. Now, you can't, per se, control the results, but the thing is that it's what you do up front as to what's going to happen on the back end. So, again, that's why I always talk about the importance of systems, the importance of communication, the importance of connecting, and the importance of this time of year. I mean, like I said, I noticed that when I was out even yesterday evening and everything, that you can look at people, because I'm a people watcher. I watch people, I watch their reactions, I kind of watch what they're doing and everything, and I can see people are starting to feel good now. They're starting to like bubble a little bit and come up, so they're ready to do some things. And then, but like I said yesterday, a lot of people are still wondering, well, how am I going to pay these bills from the winter, from the holidays and things like that? So they're looking for answers. And that's what we do. We solve problems. We present solutions to people, and then we show them how to solve them. So the more that we perform in those areas, the more that we perform in the areas of connecting with people, sharing the opportunity that we have, showing them the solutions to the challenges that they have. Because I can tell you, the baby boomers, they're having it tough right now. And the millennials, they still don't know which way to go. So they need guidance. And we provide all of that. So what I'm saying is that makes for us to be able to have a great performance based on what we do. And again, like I say, if you make a loving instead of making a living, the money will hunt you down. if you be you know, a giver, it's gonna chase after you. So I'll leave it at that.
All right, can you see the slide, Mark?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, let me say this. You know, the other day we talked about, you know, getting people on board. Let me explain this to you. And we talk about getting a package, or do you get your marketing plan? Do you get your system set up? Get into the class. We made an announcement yesterday that class right now, you do that within 7 days. And in fact, if you grandfathered in now in the next 7 days, everyone to get that class at $29, now $30. That's it. I already have a bunch of people marked that they're already starting and taking the class, and you know, at that price. So if you've been here and you're wondering what it is and you don't know what to do, look, we believe you should go and get your marketing. You have to market this business. If you can do it on your own without a tool, go ahead. Use your email system, use little systems, and don't get a marketing system. But we think that's easier to do. Why? Because first of all, that's where you're going to get the 3 websites that we use. The 3 particular sites that we send to people to get their attention to see if they're interested in managing a business from home. That's number 1. And we believe we have the 3 best out there. So if you want those, you got to get to Tools Rock. Number 2, you got to take this class. Number 3 is we do believe you should be buying gold. You have 4 weeks, you know. I mean, you can do it right away, but if you go in and sign up for the monthly, you buy the gold, you know, when you can, when it's, you know, when you have the money that you can take out. But now let me explain this to you, Mark, or to people. So I say this, Mark. I budget it. You know, I live on a budget. I decide how much money I'm spending every month and where I'm spending it. And because I don't have a family, I live alone. Well, I have my 2 kids, my 2 girls, 2 cats. And, of course, they don't take much food. So it doesn't take much thought. I know what I have to buy for them every month. But for myself, like everybody else, I could make decisions and say, oh, you know what, I'm going to get this while I'm at the store and get that without thinking about it. Before you know it, I get to the counter, and instead of having a $22 bill, I have a $32 bill. I can end up doing that every week. If you don't watch and you don't budget a certain amount of money for certain activities or certain things like shopping, like food, you'll spend a lot more than you think you will, than you intended. So I've taken Mark off of my budget. I don't live on I don't live extravagantly. I dedicate a certain amount of money to certain things. So I decided to see in the last 2 months, I wanted to see for those who say, but I don't have the money to buy it every month or every 2 weeks or whatever, every week. Everybody could do this, because now I've cut roughly about $52 a month off my normal living expenses. And the way I did that, I didn't need to, but I wanted to see if I could do that. I calculated what I spend, and do I buy those extras at the store? Do I grab that, that book at the counter or that magazine I rarely buy, but sometimes a story will catch my eye, or I'll want to buy a good book. And I chose not to do that for the last 8 weeks. I made a commitment to stop doing that and stop buying things spontaneously at the store. And so by doing that, now I also cut down on going to the store. Now, I don't live that far from a store to drive, but I also go to a place called Trader Joe's 20 miles away. And I was doing that twice a week, just because it's a fun ride and I get to meet people, and, it's a nice little shopping thing for me. I know some of the people at the store, so it was kind of an outing for me. But now I go once every 2 weeks instead of twice a week. Now imagine the gas I save. So anyway, I cut that out of my budget. So here's the point. If you really want to There's no reason why within a month's period you can look at your budget and stop buying spontaneously and take a look at how many times you really go shop, and can you break it down into 1 versus 2 days? Can you stop buying this? Can you cut down on coffee drinking and maybe do it once a day, 1 cup a day instead of 2? That all makes a difference. That's another thing I did, Mark. I was never a big coffee drinker. I like espresso. I do like espresso. I don't drink it every day now. And I have 1 cup of coffee a day. I was having 2, so I've cut down on 30 cups of coffee. Makes a difference. If people really want to get ahead, if they want to and show others that they can purchase at least once a month 1 gram of gold, they can do it. I don't care. If you're working and you have money coming in somehow, I don't care where it's from, you can budget the money differently and find a way to get that money. That's my focus, for my life. And I think that you have to take a look at that and you hear people say, I can't do it because I don't have that money. Everybody has that money. Mark, next week, I believe, along with Cecil, is going to be teaching about your taxes. It's tax season, right? And they're going to cover this, and I suggest you get to that class to talk about, and I'm sure there'll be talk about budgeting things as well. So as Mark says, we're in the education business. We're helping people. That's what we do. We teach concepts. That business presentation is about concepts. It's about breaking down your budget. Spending too much for insurance. Maybe you don't have the IRA, maybe the gold-directed IRA, self-directed IRA in gold. Maybe there's other things you can change and rebudget, so to speak. So I get a notice every day, a tip of the day, and I have hundreds stored, which we're going to start talking about on a regular basis, the tip of the day. And so this was really important to me about getting started. So I chose this one because we're talking about getting your business off the ground, getting people on board. Again, I can't take credit for this. Let me show you a few slides. Now, this is all talking about the workplace, having a job. I want you to relate this to the affiliate world, not the employee world, because it fits. We are really no different when we talk about a job. Everybody wants to talk about they don't want a job. No, we don't want to get up and go report somewhere, but the truth is you have a job here. You've committed to building a business, if you have, let's put it that way. If you have committed to building a business here or developing an income, a residual income, something you can put in place and later continue to collect on, if you've done that, then you have created work for yourself. There are things to do, and that's the catch. I say that in the presentation. There is a catch to this. It's called WORK. You have to go to work. That means you have a job to perform. So I saw this article, so to speak, workplace commitment issues. And this is word for word. I didn't make any of this up. So again, where you see the word employee or job, just think about our world. People who are excited to come to work and dedicated to their jobs perform better. We all know that. If you don't feel like working, and I'll tell you, that's what this class is all about, because most of the people that come into the class don't want to make a phone call. They are not dedicated to that. And they can't perform because they don't know what to do. They don't even know who they are. But once you go through the class, I'll tell you right now, you ask Bob Coons, you ask Gunter, you ask Shelley Bauer, you ask those people who've been through the class a couple of times, some of them, you ask Andrea Hanfus, And you'll find out that their attitude is different now. They like going to work now. Employee engagement. Think of it as affiliate engagement. Numbers are actually on the rise. In our teachings in the AdTech worldwide team, the numbers, the engagement is going up. More people are getting engaged in our system than anywhere else. Now, again, employee engagement numbers are actually on the rise. In fact, they're the highest since Gallup started tracking in 2000. But here's the bad news. Can you believe this, Mark? The bad news. Less than 1/3 of the U.S. workers are involved in, enthusiastic about, and committed to their work and workplace. No wonder. Now, that's true here. I'll bet it's less here. I mean, I'll bet the number's higher. I'll bet it's more than 1/3. I'll bet it's a half, because they have to make those phone calls, which nobody likes, until they take the class, and they don't mind. So let's go to slide number 2. Where does this leave the small business owner? That's you. You're a small business owner. If you haven't before, it's time to think about the affiliate engagement. This doesn't mean simply latching onto a buzzword and building a program. Now, these are not my words. I would have said, sounds great. But engagement won't come from a survey or a manual. You're better off focusing on your leaders. Think about that for a minute. We have back office in ToolsRock. We have a vault, an educational vault. We have an affiliate handbook, which took months to build. Months of sleepless nights getting that all together so people would understand what this business was really about. We're the only group that has something like that. Wally was kind enough to create a checklist. You don't even have to think. You just go down the list. Can't thank him enough for that contribution. And you have all the ways to get it and get your business in place. But none of that is going to help you. None of it is going to help you unless you're engaged and you focus on what your leaders are doing. I get so many calls from people who tell me that their leaders aren't doing anything. I'm going to give you an example. Here's what happened. Everybody knows this story because it's a common story. I got a call the other day, and I won't mention names, but this person called me, has been in this business for 5 months. The way they came into the business, she came in through a massive campaign that obviously the upline did. This person signed in, made a contact with someone, never heard from them again. They put a bunch of people under them and never ever really had any serious contact. They don't know what to do. There was no education except go to a webinar, go to this training over here, and somebody told them, go over to the Breakfast Club. Just go over and listen for a day or two. And that's when they contacted us and said, you guys are teaching how to do this. Yep. That's the kind of leader I want, but my team doesn't do it. How do I become an AdTech worldwide team member? Well, Mark called me the other day and said, Joe, everybody could be in the AdTech worldwide team. Don't you agree? I said, yeah, absolutely. And we feel that way, that everybody that comes here. I know we say 99% of people aren't ours, but the truth is a bunch of the people from our team we participate with. Some of them can't make it on the morning call. They listen to it later. We have a lot of people in our downline that actually listen to this stuff. It's just sometimes they can't make it here. But yeah, you can be part of the AdTech worldwide team, even if you're not in our downline. Doesn't matter. What do we care? I mean, yeah, it's nice if the whole company was under us. That'd be wonderful. I wish we could direct the company and do this. But, still old school stuff is being taught, and go to a webinar and then come to a convention, and, and what's there? Success from people who have large teams of people and who are building teams of people, and they're team building. But the problem is this person, as well as hundreds of other people, got involved the same way and had no clue what to do. Except, send them to your website, put them on here, pick up the phone, dial it, give them a call. Nobody knows what to do. That's why that engagement doesn't happen. Because they're not taught. I learned a long time ago that a man or a woman can only go as far as they're taught. That's why we're having the problems in the Middle East. Because that's what they were taught. Not going to change their thinking. Here we can change thinking through education if you listen. But you're better off focusing on leaders who can lead you down this road. And most of the people that come here go, wow, I want that education. And on Monday, I'll show you people that don't. I'll tell you about some people that don't. They contacted me. Stay on the positive for now. So, how do you do that? Well, how do you focus on the leaders? Start at the beginning with a structure. Now, tell me if this doesn't sound familiar to you. Now, these are not my words. These are word for word out of this article. Start at the beginning with a structured orientation program that involves managers and encourages mentorship. Sound familiar, Mark? I know you're on mute right now, but you can still hear me, right?
Yes, it does.
This is why our program is structured this way. This is business people saying, here's how you become successful. You don't just come to work and say, go ahead, go do it. Nobody does that in a successful business. Start at the beginning with a structured orientation. Do we not have one? That involves managers and encourages mentorship. We go to the class and then we partner people up together to get mentored, to help and work with one another. Facilitate ongoing training. Wow. That's probably new to 98% of the people in these companies. Facilitate ongoing training. Make sure employees are in the right positions and have what they need to be successful. I think that's what we do here. That's why we do what we do, because this is what you're supposed to do. This is not made up stuff. This is good business sense. Model the behavior you want to see. Workplace culture, work ethic, and passion for the company, product or service or industry trickles down from the top. You hear Mark being excited about what we do and how we do it? About the company, about changing cash for gold, about, getting the house in order. You hear that all the time. This is really important stuff to get yourself going, to being onboarded properly, to make sure these things are in place. Above all, develop your managers. It's the one-to-one influence that goes beyond delegating and tracking output that equals happy and productive affiliates. Think about that for a minute. What we're doing is developing, change that word to directors. Because that's what we call a person who comes out of the class and learns what a director/manager is supposed to be doing in this industry. Not just this company, in this industry. This is 22 years of education in this industry. The class, that's what it is. It's years and years of studying the gurus, the successful people. It's the one-to-one influence. That's why we put the people together. It's why we develop this class. It's why these educational things exist. It goes beyond that delegating and tracking output. It goes beyond that. This was interesting. At the end of the article, there were some comments by other people. Look what this girl said. Look at the date of this, March 10th. This article's been around, and now there's people comment. I pulled out the most recent comments. But here, this is very interesting. At what point does the affiliate or employee themselves take responsibility for their own career behavior? I understand and agree that good leadership is important, but leaders can only do so much, especially when the affiliate expects their manager to constantly keep them engaged and won't take it upon themselves to do their part to identify what needs to be done, improve their own engagement, performance, etc. Think about that for a minute. You could come here all day long, all week long, all month, all year long, but if you don't start engaging and take responsibility for your activities, not going to work. You're not really part of a team. Coming here doesn't make you part of the team. What makes you part of the team is what are you willing to do to help someone else, whether it's under you or not. That all comes back to you. Certainly you like to focus on your own team and your own, because that's where the income is, but too many people focus on that. Help other people. Don't spend all day helping other teams all day long. Certainly you have to go to work, create activity, which will create the result. But at what point does the affiliate take responsibility and get to work? You know what I want out of the people that are under me? And I hate that word, under and downline and uplines, but it's the only way we can identify the situation. But you know what I want? I want phone calls from those people. That's what tells me that they're interested. When a new person comes aboard, they hesitate to call, usually. So you have to engage them and keep them engaged. But there's a point where you have to let go. And you have to see, are they calling you? Are they getting back to you when you leave a message? Are they coming to the Breakfast Club? Are they engaging? And I call engaging that telephone call to me to say, Joe, I needed a little guidance with this, or I called to say good morning and I'm doing this today. Do you have any advice? So that's what Lisa says. Now here's where this other thing came from. This guy named Barry, I didn't put his last name up here because I figured everybody would Google him and so on. This is also the day before. Employee engagement is a complex animal. So is affiliate engagement. We know that. There's no one size fits all. We know that too because everybody has their own ideas. And although we have a contact manager with letters that go out, I'll bet some people probably wish they could change the letters. Truth is, in invite letters, you can. Just be careful. I can't help you if you do that with structure and how to make it work. We did that last night, though. Showed you how to change a letter around or at least move it to another location. We believe that in order to determine what a predictably successful employee or affiliate engagement initiative might look like in your business, you need to first know how engaged your affiliates are currently and what types of interference exists. So he puts up there, I never saw this before, Mark, performance equals potential minus interference. Bob Safford taught me don't let anything get in your way when you go to work. When you make that decision that you're going to spend the next hour or two making phone calls and connecting, nothing gets in the way. There are no interferences except emergencies. There's no phone calls from people wanting to say hello, your buddy down the street or your friend from the past. The door's closed, the phones are going, and you're making a phone call and you're connecting with people, and nothing should interfere with that. You have to engage, and it's time to engage.
You know, Joe, I look at interferences as excuses.
Oh, yeah. Oh, great word, Mark. Good thought.
And I look at the other part, I refer to them as family and partners because we care.
Well, let's look at that last line again. You need to first know how engaged your affiliates are. That's why I said I want people to call me. I know they're engaged. And if you talk to them and find out, you know, most people have found excuses all the time not to do things. If you have to report to a job every day at 9, you don't have any real excuses. You got to go or you lose your job. That's what happens. But here you don't. Here you can get in the way, you can start cleaning, you can pull papers out and start doing this, that, and the other, and nobody's going to fire you. But as a leader, when you bring a new person aboard, you've got to help them get rid of the interferences. How? What did it say earlier? By example. What does the leader do? The leader goes to work 2 to 4 every day, makes the phone call, makes the connections, helps people with 3-way calls. 90% of your time has to be spent looking for that new person who's going to expand the business. Their business, your business, company business.
Joe, let me share an example with you where you're talking about. I see on here, I see Bill Moriarty on here. Now, Bill is nowhere in my organization or anything like that. But I always, every now and then, get an email from him, requesting some information or my opinion or this or that, or he'll direct me to an article or whatever like that. That's engagement. That's performance. In other words, that's a person that I want to know, what do you think? Can you help me? And why don't you take a look at this? Because it's what we had talked about or what you mentioned and think. Those are the things that we're talking about. And it's not hard. Just do it. And if they can't get you on the phone because we stay busy on the phone, drop you a text or an email and you'll get back to them just as quickly as you can. What's hard about that? Tell me that.
It's about the excuses. Like you said, interferences and excuses. Let's leave you with this today. The tip of the day. Get engaged. Today is a time, if you haven't been, to make a schedule when you are going to make the phone calls, when you're going to engage in your business. And I don't mean just spending an hour sending out emails from any of the various lead sources. I'm talking about making the follow-up phone calls, connecting. Sending emails is not connecting. This business is about connecting. That's what it's about, connecting. And connecting doesn't mean just communicating with a phone call. It means finding the interested party who wants to manage a business from home and then directing them to where they need to go. If it's another piece of information, great. We teach that dialogue in the class. If it's moving them over to a director to get their questions answered, that's another piece we teach. And that is a very, very important task to learn. So let's get engaged. Get people to the educational formats, to the platforms where this stuff is learned. Most importantly, if you haven't been, or you're new and haven't been introduced yet to, get into the communication class. Get your marketing system set up and get to a communication class. You do that at this point, just send me an email with your name, phone number, email address, and what are you requesting? Joe, I'd like to be in the class. Without your phone number, I can't call you. I'm not going to type letters out and go back and forth. I don't work that way. I work with a phone call. Call me and we will schedule the time. And let me make this clear. That time is now up to you when you can make it. If you want to do it tomorrow at 3 o'clock in the afternoon because you're home from work, then we can do that. I can schedule it for you. You can take that class. You can do it at 11 o'clock at night. So you need to contact me and tell me. You need to get your team engaged with that, especially those that have already been there. That's the process. New person, registration with Carrot Bars, registration with Tools Rock in the class. Breakfast Club. And if you can't make the Breakfast Club, like many of our people can't, get onto the recording and listen to it. So let's get rid of the interferences that happen on a regular basis. It's the same as changing your budget. Get the interferences out of the way so your performance is greater than it is at the moment. So with that, I hope you have a great day today. Thanks for being here. Let's just get to work and get rid of these interferences, and we will see you tomorrow on the breakfast. Hey, by the way, tomorrow I said Friday. I'm going to be talking to Bob Coons today, and hopefully, I'm not on that screen, Mark. Is Bob Coons on there right now?
Yes, he's on there, Joe.
I thought so. I thought I saw him earlier. Bob, can you call me right after this? I'm hoping tomorrow that we can have you back, not Friday. So let's talk about that. And I think Mark and Cecil might be with us on Friday. We'll see how that goes. That's the beginning of the week, basically. But would like to bring Bob back with learning how to learn. That's really what we need to understand and tie this all together. Let's get rid of these interferences. Let's continue to work together. You're part of the AdTech Worldwide team. So let's make this team extremely successful. It's not about the numbers. It really isn't. It's about your activity. Let's make it the best group, the best activity in the company. And we can do that. We have the right education to do it and the right leaders around you to do that. So with that, we thank you for being here today, and for Mark and myself and Victor and so on. Have a great day today. This is Joe Shoup. Have a wonderful day today. Peace and blessings, as Mark says. Make it a great day.